Live from New Delhi, you're watching DT India Live, India's voice to the world. I'm Siddharth Bharadwaj. Coming up in the next 30 minutes. South Korean president faces impeachment calls after martial law attempt. Philippines, China trade accusations over confrontation in South China Sea. India's Akali Dal leader Sukhbir Singh Badal survives assassination bid at Golden Temple in Amritsar. ISRO to launch Europe's Proba 3 mission from Sriharikota today for solar research. And in the men's Junior Asia Cup hockey, India trumped Malaysia 3-1, set up final against Pakistan. Updates on South Korea first. Lawmakers from the main opposition Democratic Party called on Wednesday for President Yoon Suk-yeol to resign or face impeachment over the martial law declaration, the first in South Korea since 1980. South Korean opposition parties said Wednesday they had submitted a motion to impeach President Yoon Suk-yeol over his short-lived declaration of martial law. A vote on the motion may be held on December 6th or 7th. Talking to reporter, Democratic Party's floor leader Park Chan-dae said after the latest move, President Yoon should step down.
Even if martial law is lifted, he cannot avoid treason charges. It was clearly revealed to the entire nation that President Yoon could no longer run the country normally. He should step down, resign immediately. This is the mandate of the people.
The National Assembly can impeach the president if more than 2/3 of lawmakers vote for it. A trial is then held by the Constitutional Court, which can confirm it with a vote by 6 of the 9 justices. Yoon's party controls 108 seats in the 300-member legislature. South Korean president's office has meanwhile defended President Yoon, saying the martial law declaration was done within the law. South Korean President Yoon Suk-yeol has announced the removal of emergency martial law early on Wednesday after lawmakers defied security forces to vote against his declaration. Yoon imposed martial law late Tuesday, vowing to eliminate anti-state forces. He said that he was acting to protect the country from threats posed by North Korea. However, after the National Assembly demanded its repeal, he withdrew the troops.
After the National Assembly's demand to lift martial law troops have been withdrawn. I will accept the National Assembly's demand and lift martial law through a cabinet meeting. However, I ask the National Assembly to immediately stop the reckless activities of paralyzing the function of the country through repeated impeachment attempts, manipulation of legislation and budget.
One of South Korea's largest labor unions, the Korean Confederation of Trade Unions, has called on its members to strike until President Yoon Suk-yeol resigns. In a post on social media, the KCTU described Yoon's short-lived declaration of martial law as a crime of insurrection, while calling on its more than 1 million members to gather in Seoul and other regional locations to oppose the move. South Korean President Yoon Suk-yeol faced immediate international diplomatic fallout on Wednesday after his botched attempt to impose martial law. Swedish Prime Minister, who was due to hold a summit with Yoon this week, skipped the scheduled visit. Swedish PM spokesperson in a statement informed about the development. The United States, South Korea's main ally, also indefinitely postponed meetings of the Nuclear Consultative Group and related tabletop military exercises. The martial law declaration casts doubts over a possible visit next week by U.S. Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin. The U.S. Embassy in Seoul has meanwhile put out an advisory asking Americans to avoid areas where protests are taking place. Japanese Prime Minister Shigeru Ishiba on Wednesday said that Tokyo was monitoring the situation in South Korea with exceptional and serious concerns. Speaking to reporters at his office, the Japanese PM said the government was taking all possible measures to ensure the safety of Japanese nationals, including issuing warnings through consular emails. Tensions between China and the Philippines are running high in South China Sea. The Coast Guards of China and the Philippines gave conflicting versions on Wednesday of a maritime confrontation around a contested shoal in South China Sea, the latest row in a long-standing dispute between the neighbors. China's Coast Guard said 4 Philippine ships had attempted to enter its territorial waters around the Scarborough Shoal, which Beijing claims as Huangyan Island. In a statement, Chinese Guard claimed that Philippine ships had dangerously approached the Coast Guard's normal law enforcement patrol vessels, prompting them to exercise control over their counterparts. While the Philippine Coast Guard said Chinese Navy and Coast Guard vessels had taken aggressive actions against a routine patrol by it and the Fisheries Bureau. Manila and Beijing have sparred at sea this past year as Beijing claims almost all of the South China Sea, which has angered neighboring countries that dispute some boundaries they say cut into their exclusive economic zones. On Monday, China submitted to the United Nations nautical charts showing its territorial claims to the waters around the Scarborough Shoal. The United Kingdom has updated its travel advisory for Bangladesh, citing risks of terrorist attacks across the country. In a warning on Tuesday, the UK Foreign Commonwealth and Development Office said terrorists are likely to try to carry out attacks in Bangladesh. The attacks could be indiscriminate, including in places visited by foreign nationals, such as crowded areas, religious buildings, political rallies. It added that there have been occasional attacks against minority religious communities and targeting police and security forces. These have included improvised explosive device attacks in major cities. The advisory asked the British citizens to remain aware of their surroundings, particularly in and around police buildings, avoid large gatherings and other locations with a police or security presence, and follow the advice of local authorities. French lawmakers will vote today on no confidence motion, which is all but certain to oust the coalition of Michel Barnier. This will be the first French government to be forced out by a no confidence vote in more than 60 years. French Prime Minister Michel Barnier on Tuesday rejected the idea that President Emmanuel Macron should resign to unblock the country's political crisis, calling him the guarantor of stability. In an interview ahead of Wednesday's no confidence vote, Barnier said he remained open to budget talks with the far-right National Rally and other parties, but warned there was a lot of tension in the country and that everyone should be wary of the heightened mood. President Emmanuel Macron is set to return to France from a state visit to Saudi Arabia during the day. NATO foreign ministers opened 2 days of talks on Tuesday in Brussels with support for Ukraine high on the agenda. NATO is unlikely to heed Ukraine's call for a membership invitation at a meeting, dashing Kyiv's hopes of a political boost as it awaits Donald Trump's return to the White House. In a letter to his NATO counterparts, Ukraine said an invitation to Ukraine would eliminate one of Russia's key reasons for conflict of blocking Ukraine's NATO membership. Although NATO has stated that Ukraine will join its ranks and its path to membership is irreversible. Allies have already pledged hundreds of millions of dollars in new military aid ahead of the meetings, including new rounds of assistance from the United States and Germany. Updates on Syria now. The West Asian country is facing a surge in conflict as rebels pressed closer to the key city of Hama following their stunning capture of Aleppo last week. Rebel advances, including seizing Mar Shahur, signal a major blow to President Bashar al-Assad's forces. The Syrian army scrambles reinforcements while battling a new offensive from the US-backed Syrian Democratic Forces in the northeast. Iran has meanwhile said it would consider deploying troops to Syria if requested by Damascus, while Russia called for an end to terrorist aggression. With the battlefield crowded by global powers, Iran, Russia and Turkey plan diplomatic talks in Doha, highlighting the chaotic intersection of military action and international politics. Russia and the United States clashed at the United Nations on Tuesday, accusing each other of supporting terrorism during a Security Council meeting convened over a sudden escalation in Syria. Deputy U.S. Ambassador to the UN, Robert Wood, called for de-escalation of the fighting in Syria and the protection of civilians. He also expressed concern that the rebel offensive was led by Hayat Tahrir al-Sham. Wood said the United States has for decades fought the scourge of terrorism and will continue to fight that scourge of terrorism.
Is listed as a terrorist organization by the US and UN does not justify the further atrocities by the Assad regime and its Russian backers. Since November 27, these have included attacks by the regime and its Russian backers on schools and hospitals in both Idlib and Aleppo, causing civilian casualties.
US President-elect Donald Trump's pick to lead the Drug Enforcement Administration, Chad Chronister, is withdrawing just 2 days after his selection was announced, citing the gravity of the job. Trump had announced his intention to nominate Chad Chronister to lead the DEA on Sunday. Trump has promised to tackle the fentanyl crisis that has resulted in a big wave of overdose deaths, and the DEA will be critical in that effort. The position deals with managing the US-Mexico border and drug trafficking control. As per reports, Mexican cartels such as CJNG and the Sinaloa cartel are responsible for a significant proportion of fentanyl and other deadly drugs trafficked into the United States. The agency is part of the Justice Department and enforces the United States controlled substance laws and regulations aiming to reduce supply of and demand for such substances. Meanwhile, Trump's attorneys sought to dismiss his historic criminal fraud conviction in a new filing released Tuesday, arguing that outgoing US President Joe Biden used similar reasoning to pardon his son, Hunter Biden. The Democratic president pardoned his son Sunday after Hunter was convicted earlier this year of tax evasion and illegally possessing a firearm, arguing he was selectively and unfairly prosecuted by the Department of Justice only because he is my son. Trump's motion to dismiss filed Monday saw his legal team cite the arguments used by Biden to make their own case to presiding judge Juan Merchan. The United Nations has launched a $47 billion appeal for 2025 to 890 million people affected by conflict and starvation, amidst fears of funding cuts from Western nations, including top donor, the US. Current funding for 2024 is at just 43%, forcing drastic aid cuts in Syria and Yemen. Concerns loom as US President-elect Donald Trump may trim UN budgets further. Tom Fletcher, the new UN humanitarian chief, described the situation as unprecedented suffering, with plans to assist 32 countries including Sudan, Syria, Gaza and Ukraine. However, the appeal excludes 115 million people whose needs exceed funding capabilities.
The world is on fire, and this is how we put it out. We'll launch the Global Humanitarian Overview this week, and it fills me with a mixture of shame, dread, but also hope. The reality is, as you know well, that we are dealing with a poly-crisis right now, globally, and it is the most vulnerable people in the world who are paying the price.
Still to come on this edition of DD India Live. Navy Day today, honoring India's brave hearts and the relentless efforts of our naval forces. Stay with us to know what's more in store. We will tell you all about the World Chess Championship 2024. And we'll also tell you about a German family who set the world record for the largest number of decorated Christmas trees in one place.
Complex issues, hidden agendas, twists and turns, strategic games. We think all dots are linked, we just need to connect them. Join me every week as I connect the dots to unravel hidden designs in statecraft, mysteries and decode issues that matter to you. Watch Connecting the Dots with me at these times on DD India.
You're watching DD India Live. I'm Siddharth Bharadwaj. Winter session of the Indian Parliament entered its 8th day on Wednesday. The proceedings of lower house, also known as the Lok Sabha, began with question hour. Minister of Railway Ashwini Vaishnav replied to questions asked by a member regarding the new train services and station development.
In the case of railway, since the train operation is directly integrated with the station development, so when we selected the Amrit Bharat station scheme stations, we tried to make sure that the disruption of the traffic operations, disruption of the train operations will be minimal. That was the primary criteria for selecting the stations. And as I said earlier, this is the largest station redevelopment program anywhere in the world happening at this point of time. 1,300 stations actually getting constructed at this point of time. As and when this project is further progressed, we'll reconsider.
The upper house or the Rajya Sabha began its proceedings with matters raised with the permission of the chair in 0 hour. India's Shiromani Akali Dal leader and Punjab's former Deputy Chief Minister Sukhbir Singh Badal narrowly escaped an assassination attempt on Wednesday. A man opened fire at Sukhbir Badal Wednesday morning while he was serving his penance at the entrance of the Golden Temple in Amritsar. The shooter was overpowered by people present on the spot and was immediately taken into custody by the police. The motive of the attack is not known yet. The incident happened when Sukhbir Badal was serving as a guard at the Golden Temple entrance as part of a religious punishment by Sri Akal Takht Sahib on 2nd of December. Akal Takht has issued the punishments for him, citing the mistakes committed by Shiromani Akali Dal and its government in Punjab from 2007 to 2017. The Foreign Affairs Minister of Kuwait, Abdullah Ali Al-Yaya, arrives in India on an official visit on Tuesday. Following his arrival, the Ministry of External Affairs expressed a warm welcome to the Kuwait minister and stated this visit would further strengthen the multifaceted relationship between India and Kuwait. His visit will include high-profile meetings, starting with a call on Prime Minister Narendra Modi, and then will meet External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar. India and Kuwait share a historically strong bilateral relationship that has stood the test of time. Rooted in centuries of trade and cultural exchange, the partnership predates Kuwait's independence in 1961, during which the Indian rupee served as its legal tender. Also, to add another feather to its cap, the Indian Space Research Organisation will launch the PSLV C-59 Proba 3 mission on Wednesday at 16:08 IST from the Satish Dhawan Space Centre in southern state of Andhra Pradesh's Sriharikota. Showcasing India's role in global space innovation, the mission highlights advanced space technologies made possible by collaboration between New Space India Limited, ISRO and European Space Agency.
Two satellites will fly together as one with millimeter-level control.
Mission's primary objective is to explore the sun's corona, the outermost layer of its atmosphere, to enhance understanding of solar dynamics and space weather. The mission will function as an orbital lab demonstrating acquisition, rendezvous, proximity, operations and formation flying, while validating innovative metrology sensors and control algorithms, opening up novel methods of mission control. 4th of December is celebrated every year as Navy Day. As India commemorates Navy Day 2024, the Indian Navy continues solidifying its position at the forefront of the nation's maritime ambitions. With a legacy steeped in operational excellence and strategic foresight, the Navy has transformed into a formidable force capable of safeguarding nation's interests. The Navy embodies India's ascent as a maritime power, from modernizing its fleet to integrating advanced technology and fostering global partnerships. The Supreme Commander of the Armed Forces, President Draupadi Murmu, will witness the operational demonstration by the Navy on Wednesday in the eastern state of Odisha. Defence Minister Rajnath Singh has extended his greeting and warm wishes to all Indian Navy personnel and their families on Navy Day. Sharing a post on X, he wrote, and I quote, "The Indian Navy is an important pillar in the national security architecture, safeguarding India's maritime security. Our Navy plays a pivotal role in ensuring safe, secure and stable seas, reaffirming our stature as the preferred security partner and first responder in the Indian Ocean region." Commodore Subrat Magon, Indian naval officer in charge in the South Indian state of Tamil Nadu, flagged off a 13-day, 2,500-kilometer long motorcycle rally from Chennai organized in view of India's Navy Day. The Indian Navy's Sea Riders Odyssey 2024 bike rally commenced on Wednesday as part of the Navy Day 2024 celebrations. The 13-day rally will cover a distance of approximately 2,500 kilometers through various locations in South India's Tamil Nadu. The cities include Puducherry, Kumbakonam, Thanjavur, Trichy, Karaikudi, Dhanushkodi, Rameshwaram, Vallur, Madurai, Kodaikanal, Sainik School, Wellington, Salem and Vellore as well. The joint military exercise Harimo Shakti 2024 between Indian Army and the Malaysian Army is underway in Kuala Lumpur. The opening ceremony of the joint exercise marked a significant milestone in strengthening bilateral defence relations and enhancing regional security cooperation. The exercise began with a joint contingent from both armies marching in. The Indian Army contingent showcased a ceremonial parade underscoring their readiness for joint training and operational collaboration. Officials from both the Indian and Malaysian armies exchanged mementos as a gesture of goodwill, paving a significant step towards deepened military ties. Under the aegis of Special Olympics Bharat, a creative art and craft
and inequality. Gaurav Kumar's report, DD India.
Indian Grandmaster D. Gukesh squandered a golden opportunity to take lead as he was held for a fourth consecutive draw by defending champion China's Ding Liren in the World Test Championship 2024 on Tuesday. Wielding the white pieces, Gukesh put Ding under pressure early with an out-of-the-box opening play. Ding was soon forced into a time scramble with the defending champion forced into a position where he had to make 20 moves in under 25 minutes to stay alive in the match. But the Chinese Grandmaster found a way to stay afloat and forced Gukesh into some difficult positions before the game tapered into draw. The draw left both the players tied on 3.5 points, each with 7 more matches to go. Game 8 will take place on Wednesday. The first player to reach 7.5 points over 14 games will win the prestigious title in Singapore. Now, some updates from World of Football. In La Liga, double goals from captain Rafinha helped Barcelona secure the 5-1 victory, the first time in a month against Mallorca on Tuesday. Barca took an early lead with Ferran Torres scoring following a mistake by hosts' defence, but striker Vedat Morici levelled the scoring from a quick counter-attack just before the break. Yet, Barca came out flying in the second half and Rafinha restored its lead from the penalty spot in the 56th minute. Yamal crossed to Rafinha to extend Barca's lead with a tap in the 74th minute and substitutes Frankie de Jong and Paul Victor to add to the goal feast. Barca tops the La Liga standings on 37 points, 4 ahead of second-placed Real Madrid, which has 2 games in hand. In hockey, India is all set to take on arch-rivals Pakistan in the final of the Junior Asia Cup on Wednesday in Muscat. The Junior Asia Cup serves as the Asian qualifier for the Men's FIH Hockey Junior World Cup, which will be played, in fact, next year in India. Christmas is round the corner. Keeping the festive fervor alive, a family in Germany has made their home an abode of lights and jubilant Christmas decor. The Jeromin family set the world record for the largest number of decorated Christmas trees in one place, with 605 trees and with 120,000 ornaments, 50,000 lights and thousands of Christmas figurines. The place is bursting with sparkle and color. The Jeromin family had already broken the same record 6 times in the past. India's public broadcaster Prasar Bharati has recently launched Waves. Entering the field of OTT platform, Waves provides a complete infotainment ecosystem to digital media and OTT audiences. If you also want great content for free, then download Waves today. That's all for this edition of DD India Live, but let us know your thoughts on the news of the day. For those on the go, you can get all the latest news and updates from India and across the world on DD India mobile app. The app is available on both Android and iOS platforms, and you can scan the QR code on the screen to download now. We'll be back with more news as it breaks here on DD India. I'm Siddharth Bharadwaj from all of us here in Delhi. Thanks for watching DD India Live.